Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Perspective Podcast. Today we have Giovanna on the show. Giovanna, thank you so much for coming today. It is
Of
such a pleasure to have you
course.
here. I want to know, as you know, this is the Perspective Podcast, which we kind of dive into people's stories a little bit to understand who they are, their resilience, and their strength. So that's what we're going to be doing with you today. We're going to dive into your story, kind of figure out who you are, why you do what you do, and basically like just where you're going, essentially. You know what I mean? So, why don't you give us a little background about your story? Tell us a little bit about what do you think truly has shaped you, like some real powerful things that has made you who you are, and some struggles that you've experienced that you were forced to overcome, which then made you like you.
Yes, thank you so much, Tyler. This is amazing. I love the podcast. A little bit about myself. My name is Giovanna Rivera. I am 23 years young. I feel so blessed and so fortunate to be here where I'm at this point in my life. With that being said, lots of good, right? The law of polarity also comes with, the downs. And I don't look at myself as, oh, this happened to me. I look at it as, oh, this happened to me. And look at how strong it's made me. Look at who I've become and how my character has been strengthened from it. So something that I can really remember that shaped me growing up. I was an athlete. I ran track. I was a sprinter, played basketball almost my whole life, soccer, anything you can think of. I did it. I did boxing. So I was always very physically active, very physically fit. That was a huge part of my life. And I remember being a senior in high school and having a really life-changing injury. I got a concussion and it absolutely changed my life. My days were like nights and my nights were like days. If any of you guys have gone through a concussion, your hormones are literally like shaked in your head. So that's what happened to me. And even just being and participating in, regular day life was so hard because I needed to be in the dim light. Any loud noise triggered a headache. And the worst part of it all was that medicine, Tylenol, anything that was prescribed to me, it didn't help at all. So I had to go through a lot of physical therapy, like 6 months of therapy. They put needles in my neck, all that. And as I started to transition, as I started to heal, I noticed that I would get very triggered. I realized that I went through a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, through isolation, being by myself, and really learning myself. And then I thought to myself, why am I like this? I don't have to be like this. I started reading the books. I started listening to the podcast, getting into meditation. I've always been a traveler, so I started to travel the world and I started to learn and find energy work and healing and holistic healing. And it came to me and the crystals and all these things that I was just trying any avenue to find peace and find stillness in my life. And I found that. I ended up living in Miami like maybe 3-4 years after that, and that was absolutely transformational because I got Reiki done on myself the very first time. And my practitioner Julia, she was absolutely amazing because I feel like she woke up so many gifts that were just like not awakened in my body, and so much stuck energy that I had blockages in my energy. And I always wanted to be in touch with my feminine side, but I just wasn't because I was so into the sports and so into the accomplishments and working and always having to go, go, go. But I noticed that I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want to just work a regular job for the rest of my life. I didn't always want to live and not feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
So when I found energy healing and Reiki and the crystals, that brought me peace. And I did have my first awakening in Miami where I realized Christ consciousness, where I realized that we were all connected. And I did have this time of bliss, of pure bliss, where I saw the world as heaven on earth. Because think about it, I had gone through so much darkness, so much isolation, where to combat that, I would drink and I would smoke and I would party so much, but that really wasn't helping because that wasn't getting to the root of what I needed to heal and what I needed to, go through. And I will say, anyone that's looking for healing, they have to feel those emotions, and they have to really go through that and feel that to be able to release that and move that so it's not stuck. And yeah, that was probably one of the hardest things I'd gone through, really, was that concussion. Because think about it, for 6 months, they're telling me, do not go to the gym. Do not, like, it's not safe for you. Something can happen where, the hormones bounce, and just safe if you don't work out. So through that time, I was derailing, but then I found spirituality, and I found community, and I found hope, and I found people that were like-minded and that were on a similar path. So I gravitated towards that. And that's when I learned about Dr. Joe Dispenza. And that's when I learned about, meditation and manifestation and learning how to attract. And yeah, that's really where it all came about. And now my brand, now I'm a Reiki practitioner, I'm an intuitive healer, I'm a sound specialist. So I love teaching people that. I love knowing that holistic routines and holistic healing does work because I experienced it myself. So everything I do now has really helped me to shape who I am. And I literally give it all thanks to holistic healing, to God, to my family. Without their support, I wouldn't be who I am today. And really just community and being online. I love being online and sharing and being a voice, and any value that I can give back. That's really what's important to me.
Right. I feel that. I think when you have like a calling to like want to like help people, I think that really stems like internally. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of like so many people could have gone through exactly what you've gone through, but they just don't want to use their voice in a way to help others. You know what I mean? Or just like at least sacrifice and be a little bit humble. You know what I mean? Because I think it takes a lot of humility to go online. You know what I mean?
It does.
Because you're putting yourself out there and it's vulnerable.
And then I love your question about what was it that shaped you? What was the hard things? And what I will say is that I'm so, so grateful, and I'm so happy that I went through those hard things, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. They absolutely did shape me, and I did have to go through those pits and bring myself back up and have that faith and know that, we are all supported, and there's so much to be amazed and growing towards, because a lot of people, which I did for a short amount of time, I struggled with my memory. I had so much memory loss where I would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, like I had this concussion, and so now my memory, like, please forgive me. Now I don't do that at all. I don't even remember that. I just remember that was really important, but I started to take accountability for my memory. I started to grow my mind. I started to reroute those neurons. I started to read heavily. I started to read books and meditations. Like I said, I always bring up meditation, but that really did help me strengthen my mind, because my whole entire life, I was strengthening my muscles. I was running, and the most important muscle in the body is the mind. So really exercising that every single day, that's what really brought me back to health. And then through that and through aligning and balancing my chakras, I was able to speak out and use my voice and speak and manifest and really use the connection and the flow and be in flow and enjoy life.
Yeah. So I want to kind of go and dive deeper more into the darkness that you were referring to, right? You were saying you were experiencing all this darkness. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
I guess in that moment, I felt very alone. It's a feeling of...
The moment being... Like, what was the moment?
The moment where I'm just in my room. I'm isolated. I can't go anywhere. Can't
post-concussion?
This is like kind of during it. This is kind of like in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of blurry, I will say. I don't remember a lot of my teenage years. I mostly remember the things...
How bad of a concussion was this?
Well, so it was down in my neck. It was in the lower area. And so what happened was my spine actually locked up. So I felt it throughout my whole entire spine, because the brain is connected to the neck, and then the spine. What caused it? In basketball, a girl on my team, she actually really elbowed me, and it went down. And I just remember seeing stars.
Oof.
Yeah. So it was pretty intense. It was pretty traumatic. I will say.
So you don't play basketball anymore?
I will say that I love basketball, but I don't have a love for it like how I
Mm,
used to. So I don't really practice or play or shoot. Yeah.
got you. Where did that love come from before?
Where did it come from before? I guess really just I've always been so competitive, so I always loved working on myself to be the best, to win games, to win championships, whatever that was. I always wanted to be a winner.
Mm,
Because I feel like when you're a winner in one thing, you want to win in life. You're a winner
mm.
in life.
So I want to kind of give a little bit more of a backstory to the audience, like if you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Beforehand, we were talking about like upbringing,
Right.
right? So I want to know the stem of the competitiveness.
Yes.
Where did this come from? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely will say it came from my dad. My dad was a Marine and he was actually a college football player as well, um, growing up. So I would go to his games and then he was in the Marines, but he always instilled to me hard work and discipline. And it was very, very hard growing up to live up to his expectations and standards, but I always looked for a way to make it happen.
mm,
How can I be the best? And how can I be, like, in his eyes, like, number one?
mm,
But then I grew up and I realized that I can't live for his expectations and for what he wants. I have to choose me. I put myself first.
yeah, yeah,
And that's how I went about that. Really just choosing me and realizing that the way I see myself is how others is going to perceive me. And it really doesn't matter what others, how they want me to live my life. It's all about me and how I want to live my life.
that's exactly right. You sit with yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I want to give some context to I want to understand, like, when you're saying like he's stern and he's very disciplined, like, what did that mean? Like, give us some examples of
Yeah.
how that presented itself.
Yeah. That meant being like 8, 9 years old and running the mile in under 7 minutes and seeing him so proud and so happy because that was something like that was great to him. Something that I would have to do, I would always have to leave the dishes cleaned. If I left a dish 3 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter what time it was. If he needed something, I needed to do a chore, anything. If it didn't get done, it had to get done. So that very instilled in me discipline. You have to do what you said you were going to do. You have to live up and do things. And that's just how it is. You have to be clean. You have to clean after yourself and just basic stuff like that. But like, it was very strict. I couldn't leave the house with short shorts. I literally remember being in school and putting on like sweats, baggy like sweats, because I didn't want my dad to see my shorts because if I did, he would freak out. It was very like, the women hide their body, they conserve themselves. It was that. I'm the firstborn, I'm the oldest, his first daughter, so he really always saw me like a princess. Like he always wanted me to be covered and respect myself, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. So I want to know, like, when we're talking about this discipline and running like a faster mile, doing all this other stuff, where does the competitiveness come from? Is it just like being better than yourself? Like you got to beat yourself? Like where did like how did it transition to like being competitive in sports and like against other people? And
Hmm.
where did that like the competitiveness stem from?
Where did the competitiveness stem from? I guess I like what you said at first. It was from always wanting to be a better version of yourself, always wanting to evolve, and understanding that the hard work that you put forward, it's gonna pay off. Whether you see it right then, it's gonna pay off later. So the hard work you do now, you're gonna thank yourself for it later. That's something that was very instilled by my dad, and I really use that. And I think, the hard work and all of the, everything that I invest into myself, because I also look at it as an investment, right? If you're working on your fitness and you're working on being better than you were yesterday, that's an investment in yourself. You're investing the time, the hard work. It's not easy, but you're going to thank yourself later. You're going to feel better after. Anytime you work out, you're going to have the dopamine rush. You're going to be like, wow, I just did that, and I think that's very important. That's actually a really good thing to have.
No, I 100% agree. 100%. Were you like struggling when you were going through this? Like when you were younger, at that point were you like, screw you? Like, were you like really upset, or were you just like, what was your mindset through it? Like, was there any
Right.
negative repercussions, do you feel?
I would say in the home life, it was very hard. It was negative there, but in the outside world where we would go to the gym and I learned a lot from him. I looked at him like as a companion because I was happy to learn all the techniques and the knowledge that he had to share with me. But in the home, it was hard because my parents had separated and I was always going back and forth with my mom and dad. So it was always like I didn't have one place to call home. I was always like, kind of like beating myself up because I felt like I never could have it together because I didn't have that stillness and that calmness until later when I was able to find that within myself
Right.
and, be on my own.
Right. A lot of the times when like children go through things, or let's say like a parent is like, like talking down, like belittling them and talking like shit, trying to make them feel like shit. Like a lot of the times children will think that they're the reason for that. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
they're the reason they deserve it, when realistically
Right.
they they're just in a situation. You know what I mean? Things are just
Yeah.
happening to them, but not
Right.
because of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, that reference. But when you're talking about like going to Miami
Yeah.
and like having like these negative outlets, what do you think was causing this? What do you mean by that? Like, like I know, like you mentioned, like drinking, smoking, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what was the negative emotion? Like you said, we got to get to the root of it. We got to get to the core of
Right.
it. So, what was causing you to feel that?
Right. So in college, I was 18 when I was 17 when I experienced a concussion, and then shortly after, I had to kind of just go into college life and kind of just transition and navigate it. So that's when I fell a lot into partying, and I think we all kind of have that phase where I had my party phase, and it's not that I was getting to the root of it. I think I was just going through the cycle, going through the motions, doing what my parents told me to do, go to school, get good grades, and then, having that outlet. So, after when I did move, I was able to have that alone time. I lived on the beach. It was really beautiful, and I had that quiet time where I was able to really get to the deep, deep cause. And what I realized is that this is gonna sound crazy, right? But I realized that before I had came here, right, before my soul came to this lifetime, I had agreed to come here and to help my family. And with doing that, I was breaking a lot of generational curses, and I was also taking on the karma of my family. So we all have karma that we have to deal with and face. So I was dealing and facing the karma of my parents not really choosing their full on purpose in life, right? And we might hear that a lot with our parents. All of our parents, they might be very talented in something, but they did what they had to do. They didn't do what they choose to do. And if you look now, we're in a generation, we're in the age of Aquarius, where there's a lot of creatives. There's a lot of people that they have so many skills and gifts and they're earning from that. But maybe it wasn't like that back in the day. Maybe it was more blue collar to white collar jobs and you have to climb the corporate ladder. That's kind of like the time period my parents grew up in. But I know that me being born, I was meant to change the generation to come. So literally by me just existing and choosing to be here, I had to deal with certain things in order to learn from them and gain the lessons. So I really think that like I agreed to like take on any pressures. I came here and I was like, yes, let it be me. Let me be the one to go through the hard things because I know through transmutation I can transmute all the things that, are meant to break us and hurt us and come out much more powerful and be here to make a positive difference on the world. And yeah, that's my answer.
Got you. So how do you feel? Like, what do you do now to like make that difference?
Yeah. So I have Heaven on Earth Healing. I have my brand and I work with people one-on-one in group settings and I teach them about balancing their life, how to find mental, physical wellness, anything overall, the body, the life, the spiritual aspect of it, how to find balance and how to find peace and how to release and how to do the shadow work and how to get to the root cause of what can be causing that pain, that illness, that sickness. That's what I do.
No, I like it. I can hear it.
Yeah.
Seriously. You have a very calming voice. Very calming voice.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think, I could be wrong, but I think, like, those gods, like, whoever goes through, like, his greatest soldiers go through the hardest shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think it really does take a certain amount of pressure to either break you, you know what I mean? However you want to say it, like a breaking point, or just to hone you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Strip away, whatever you want to say, however you want to put it. But I think that pressure is so important. And I feel like the chosen ones, all right, are meant to go through that pressure. You know what I mean? Because that's how you learn. You know what I mean? How are you going to be an expert? How are you going to guide somebody if you haven't gone through it yourself?
Right.
And the harder the walk, the more you learn. And it's unfortunate that you got to go through that hard walk in order to learn. But that's what you got to do. And that's how people learn.
And on my run and my hike this morning, because I have a really big mountain behind my home, I ran up and it was so hard. I was thinking, wow, I haven't done this a lot this year. It's a brand new year, so it's the beginning of my program, but it was hard, right? I wasn't as conditioned as I wanted to be. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But as I was climbing up that mountain, at the top, I was so proud. And so I like to do little things like that. I like to do hard things like that, where when I get to the top, I feel fulfilled. And then I realize coming down, it's so much easier. You did it already. You passed the test. Keep on going. What's next? How can you challenge yourself more?
Right. No, I definitely agree. But sometimes, you know, like there has to be a level of understanding of satisfaction.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you could have run that same mile, but I'm like, fuck, it's not good enough. You know what I mean? And just like beat yourself up, even though it's the best you've ever done. I still got to do this.
Yeah.
And you're killing yourself. Like you have this internal thing that's going on. You know what I mean? Like, so like learning to like, we all have a scale, right? Like you created, like, that's like your stepping stone, like going up this mountain. For some people, it's like they create giant leaps. You know what I mean? Some people, it's little small things. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. It's finding, if it's too big, like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to get satisfaction. You got to find satisfaction in like every little minutia.
Right.
Every little moment. Just be satisfied with who you are and your development.
And that's so true. And you know what I would say to people like that have that voice behind them that's telling them, no, it's not enough. You have to have grace and compassion with yourself throughout your journey.
Right,
you have to hold your inner child and literally, like, how would you speak to your inner child? If that inner child just ran that mile and they just, tried, they worked their hardest, they did their best, would you still look at the inner version of you and be like, you suck? You're terrible? No. You'd be like, let's go get him again tomorrow. Let's do it. If you want to be better, let's do it. It's a journey. And I think we're so stuck in this generation. We want fast results. We want it now. We want it yesterday.
It's my money.
Right.
I want it now.
Exactly. So I think meditation for that, I would say that's the answer, because when you're in that state of meditative, there's no noise, there's silence, and that's hard because you now have to tell your mind to quiet your body and then to quiet the mind itself. So there's a whole other magic and it's a whole other skill to that as well, but it's a journey every day. Definitely.
We all struggle with it. You know what I mean? We're all going to like fall into our little moments. Yes. You know what I mean? Even if you have like significant amount of progress. Again, like as I mentioned before the podcast, like I feel like sometimes there's some things you just can't heal from. You know what I mean? I feel like you can get like a lot better understanding, but I do feel like some things, like they will create a fire in you. Mm-hmm. Like there's like things that you'll never be able to let go. You know what I mean? Like seeing like some evils that's happened to me makes me never want to treat anybody poorly. Okay. Like it always makes me want to like look internally into somebody and see like what are they not saying? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what's going on behind the, like, let me like actually like try to give them, let me open up, I don't know, like let me just show them real consideration, real compassion. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That way that they know that they are at least seen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like and they are considered. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so that just sits with me. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes you go through shit and it creates how you navigate the world. You know what I mean? That navigation,
Mm-hmm.
it just sits with you. You know what I mean? Something, it's like parents.
And you know what? I actually got this quote from Drake at a Drake concert. You're gonna think, Drake? But he goes, the greatest gift you can give is the ripple effect. So that really sat with me, and I really took that in. That is so true. And that just reminded me of what you said about, you gone through this, so now you're gonna treat everyone else in this way. And that's really the ripple effect. I think that's really how we make the world a better place, honestly.
Yeah. Who's to know? Who's to say? Just trying our best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't ever know where things will lead to. You know what I mean? Tomorrow is always unknown. You know what I mean? Like, I think, yeah, but you're right. You're right. For me, I always want to just like, I want to give people like the tools to like know that they're capable. You know what I mean? I don't want to ever just like be the thing that like fills a void or like gives someone answers.
Yeah.
Because I could be gone tomorrow.
Right.
Easily. So I don't know, teaching people how to fish, you know what I mean? Because like me, like giving you that
Yes.
moment that you're seeing your herd is okay.
Yeah.
But like ultimately you need to know how to like handle things on your own. You need to know that you need to feel that for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree with that. And I even see that with myself as a healer. My most important client is myself. I've talked about that with you. And I never want any of my clients to feel like I need to see Giovanna. I like to give them the tools and the
Right.
techniques of what works and how they can find balance on their own life after they've seen me and after they've had some realizations of how they can, do more things that will help them overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk more about, we were talking about astrology, right? So this is like a little me being nitpicky, me being annoying,
Yeah.
right? You're like at this. This is the first time I did it this year, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said. But Aries is the start of the year,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I feel like, how are we gonna start the year in the middle of death?
That's so true.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
That's so
Calendars
true.
have been altered. We're being played.
So for me though, right? So for me, I'm a Capricorn rising. We are in Capricorn season. That means for me, my astrological birth chart starts during Capricorn season. So for me, individually, it feels like a refresh. It feels like a brand new time for me to present myself, my physical appearance, my whatever, everything that's all me. It's a refresh. It's like a new year for me energetically. I should have said that.
No, you're good. I told you it was me being annoying.
It's okay.
You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, that's just something I heard. Like, it's
No, that's true though.
why start it in the middle of death?
No, I agree. No, that's very true.
Spring.
I will say right now during the winter, while everything is pretty stagnant, the earth is resting, this hemisphere, I think that rest is equally as important as the work. And that's been very profound for me because a lot of our healing is done while we're sleeping. Our body is detoxing itself while we're sleeping. Why do you think we wake up with white crust, everything, and our tongue's white, So rest is so important, and that's really where I found so much symbolism in my dreams, in the messages from the universe. Once you have that connection to the earth, and once you ask questions, I always say, ask and it is given. Whatever questions you have, whatever affirmation you have before you go to bed, it's great to say, thank you for this day, God, source, higher power, whoever you believe in, to say a prayer and wake up knowing that you're going to be recharged, that you're going to be, empowered and ready to go. I think that's a great thing, especially, for me, for you, we create our own schedule, so we have to be recharged. We have to put in the action, but the rest is equally, if not more important than the work.
When you have like a new client come to you, like how do you go, like do you like create a program for them? How do you go about like assisting them?
Awesome question. I love that. So what we do in the session, we start off with a chakra reading. So I actually can go ahead and see the energy of the chakras and see what I should be focused on throughout the session and just to show them. And then during the session, we go into a meditative state and I'm able to do Reiki, which is actually an ancient technique. It's a form of healing, holistic, and it reduces pain, stress, and it increases relaxation. So with that, I'm trained to see the chakras and work on them. And then when they are back up, they feel the difference right away. Sometimes people have said they don't feel any difference. Sometimes it takes some time. Sometimes, yeah, everyone's different. Everyone's experience is different. But then we go ahead and we look at the chakras again. We see how balanced they are. And I give them advice for every single thing that I saw maybe a little bit imbalanced, maybe something they could work on, they could be better. I give them that advice intuitively. And it is up to them to do the work to continue that balance, because I will say it is the outside world that can kind of like, throw us off balance, our day to day, any tasks. And then you want to think of the chakras as think of a fan that's spinning, right? If the fan gets a lot of dust and debris, it might not spin as fast or as, effective as it normally does. But once you clean off those debris, it's able to spin again. So we have people that have underactive chakras, and then we have people that have overactive chakras. So think of that person that's so blunt, so loud. Anything that comes to mind, they say that, and they speak their mind. They don't care what anyone has to think or say about it. That's an overactive throat chakra. And then we have the other person where they don't say anything and they're just very mute and they hold everything in. That's not good either. You kind of want to have a balance of speaking your mind and saying it in a way that can be, you don't care how it's received. You're just saying how you feel, but you're saying it in a way where they can take in what you're saying as well.
What are some causes to create an overactive throat chakra, for example?
Yeah.
Or just in general, other chakras, what causes overactivity?
Yeah. I would say anything that's too much of anything is not good, but I would say I've seen it a lot in personalities. Sometimes people just have that personality where they're just like, man, I'm going to say it and I don't care. You know what I mean? Or it just might be too much, or it might not be the right time or the right person to say that to. Does that make sense? An overactive third eye, all you do is meditate. That's all you want to do. You're not in the physical realm. You're in the astrals. You're so that's all you want to do. Or people who maybe they're addicts. That's too overactive. Too much things going on here where they need to ground themselves. People who are maybe addicted to sex or pornography, that's an overactive sacral, where that's too much, where that's not going to help. That type of thing would cause an overactive energy.
So, I mean, in a situation, experiences, what experience would someone go through that would cause overactivity? Do you think it's just someone can go through the same experience, but one person, their throat becomes overactive, someone who's gone through the same experience, their sacral becomes overactive?
Yeah. So I would say, in my experience, I see a lot of things where it's underactive.
More than overactive.
More than overactive, yeah. Because when it's underactive, it's kind of blocked and it's kind of stagnant. So it's more common to see energy centers that are not being used as much, whereas they're being used too much. So for example, our solar plexus, which is our connection with ourselves, with our bravery, with our courage. Someone who sleeps in bed all day, where they're very depressed, they might not have a lot of energy going on in there. So for that, I would recommend them to go for a walk in the morning. I would recommend them to get 20 minutes of sunlight every single day. I would recommend them to use color therapy, really use the colors of those chakras like lemons and oranges, and eat citrus foods. It's all about what we put in and the colors we wear that can really make an impact on our energy.
Jeez. Are you able to just if you just meet somebody, have a conversation and kind of get an understanding and reading of their chakra, or do you need to actually sit down, bring them in the room and do the thing?
So I will say that when I'm having a basic conversation with people and they're telling me their ailments, that they can't sleep or that they have no energy, I'm right away able to tell them you should do this, because it triggers a sign their solar plexus and their sacral is underactive.
When they start exposing stuff.
Yeah, when they start talking, then I'm able to give them,
But the sound of their voice, you mean? Or like just like,
Just having a conversation. When they tell me what's bothering them, what hurts, I'm able to kind of tell them what would
yo, read
help.
me. Let them know.
How's your body feeling? Any pain in the body? Any troubles?
Any pain? I don't think so. I mean, I've had like a little bit of a shoulder thing, but it doesn't hurt. It just kind of just like,
Right.
it popped out a few years ago.
Okay.
And then I popped it in myself. And then I don't think I ever really did it properly. So it's
Okay.
kind of just like, yeah, I don't know. And then I think that has also caused like ankle, because I feel like it kind of created like this imbalance, like a shift or some shit, and then like I feel it like
Okay.
kind of like in my pelvis area,
Yeah.
and then I think that caused me to like roll the ankle, and then the ankle's like a little off now too,
Okay.
but it doesn't hurt at all, you know. But that's it.
How do you like magnesium? Any salt baths, as Epsom baths
I
at
don't
all?
do any of that stuff. I don't even know like what do you mean? Do I like it? Like eat it? Consume it? What do you mean? Do I like looking at it?
Do you like taking being in the shower, bath?
I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just stand there for like a half hour.
Literally. Yeah, no, I recommend using Epsom salts. They can absorb anything that's going on with the muscles. They're
Oh,
really
that'd be
good for
dope.
releasing energy, the negative ions, they absorb them. Another thing I can recommend is grounding. I know that we're in the Northeast and it's very cold, but
Barefoot outside?
grounding barefoot outside, life-changing. 20 minutes, 10 minutes a day.
I should.
Stack your habits, right? So when you're grounding, do something else. Whether you're editing, whether you're journaling, whether you're reading, always do things and do multiple of the things
Habits,
that are
Atomic
good for
Habits.
you.
Have you ever read that book?
I have the book. I have to finish.
It's so good.
Is
It's
it?
so good. Yeah. Have you started it? Have you touched it at all?
I have, yeah.
So good. That's in there.
Yeah, habit
Habit
stacking.
stacking.
Okay.
It's like one of the best, like, as far as like self-help books go. Like
Yeah.
incorporates like so many in one. It's a very good book.
Yeah, no. 2024, I'm finishing that book.
Yeah,
No matter what.
Do it. So when you say like grounding, are you telling me like, or is that for me specifically, or just like everybody?
That would help
With what?
your body, specifically with any of the unbalance, anything that's like not comfortable. It literally will ground you and absorb any pain, any like
Okay.
anything that's not bringing you comfort. It will help,
Yeah.
literally.
Absolutely. So basically, to just get a summary of Giovanna, she's someone who likes to help people,
I love to help people.
right?
It's my passion for sure.
Why?
Because I know how much it's helped me.
What do you mean? How others have helped you? What do you mean?
I know
Why do
how
you want to help
much-
people?
I want to help people because I love seeing the transformation and the difference it makes. I love knowing that if I can make a difference and I've, just taught someone something, they can go ahead and they can share that with other people.
Has that always been part of you?
I don't think so.
Was
Well,
it after your transformation?
I think that now I'm able to help people in the way that's most fulfilling to me, but I've always loved, and I've always went out of my way. I've always done things for people just because it brings joy to me to give time, to
Yeah.
give anything, really.
I feel like you're a very complex person.
Do you think so?
Yes. I do. I really do. I do. I think like you are open and you're like willing
Yes.
to talk about it, like pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Seems like.
Yeah, no, I am.
But I also feel like there's so much to you that's just like not being presented. You know what I mean? Like just like, you know what I mean?
So funny. I do.
That's what I feel like.
So what do you think the people want to know? Like, what do you think is not being presented? Because I get that a lot. I get that I can be kind of mysterious, that people can't always read me.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, you will only know if I tell you or if I put it out there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I feel like, hey, I'm just talking shit now. Right? So just so we know, I'm just talking schmack. Like I mentioned, like, do you like analyze people? Like when you're like, and you're like, no, I don't find the need to. Like, I feel like you are. I feel like you're just like in there, just like analyzing and just like understanding. You know what I mean? Picking up energy, if that's how you want to reword it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you are picking up energy.
I think so. I think I am subconsciously. I'm very understanding. And that's the number one thing I think that helps me. And what I do is that I can understand people like so much. Like you said, I can read them, and I think it's not conscious. I think it's just like a natural thing.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I get you. But I don't know what I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I don't know. But it feels to me like you're reserved to an extent. Maybe that comes from like, you know what I mean? But I feel like there is like a warrior, and I think that's what it stems from. It's like this warrior mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, kind of like present the cards when needed to be presented, or just like present it as it comes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just sit and wait. You know what I mean?
And that's the most exciting part about me, I think, right?
I don't know. I got no idea. I don't know what I don't know.
Fair.
Why do you think that's the most exciting part about you?
Because I think that there's nothing more exciting than knowing that you can create, and the past doesn't really define you, because we are all made by God. In that way, we are all so connected by the law of oneness. And in my day-to-day, I get so inspired by others, and I can take things, and I have so many ideas, and I have so many things that I'm outputting, and it's so exciting because you just never know the miracles, the abundance, the just all the good things. It's like it's always coming. And it's kind of like a mystery because there's something about the unknown. And that's why I love to sit in meditation. And when I'm sitting there, I'm in the void. I'm in the dark space. I'm in the infinite space. I'm in the space where there is no space, where I'm nobody and you are nobody. We are just energy. We are just a soul. So I think, like you said, that awareness, I know I have lots of depths to me, but I love to transmute and basically create. I love to create life. And I feel very powerful being where I am now because I'm very empowered in my femininity. And feminine energy is all about creating and molding from nothing. From the seed
Damn, you're making me feel like a bitch.
From the seed that grows from the rose that grows from the concrete. It doesn't matter the past. You are always being reborn and created again.
I think masculine energy can be created too, right?
Yes.
Right?
Well, don't get me wrong. We all have both feminine and masculine qualities. I guess the power is when we use it in a balanced way, if that makes sense. So gender doesn't have anything to do with feminine or masculine because we all are innately, we are all very nurturing. We all can be mothering. We can all be, that support for one another, and that's the feminine. But then in the masculine side, we can all be problem solvers. We can all go after a goal. We can all,
I think masculine energy is creative energy.
You think so?
Yes, I do. Think about like building shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, or going on the farm and planning and fucking mending to that, and then just making sure like it grows and like
structure.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
facilitation.
Yeah,
like that's masculine.
It's all about the blend. It's all about it coming together into oneness and unity.
I think both masculine and feminine, they're both creative.
I like that. I know I like that takeaway.
Because like women like grow like babies in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's pretty self-explanatory.
That's the ultimate.
Pretty creative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if we really want to go into this, is like me being annoying again. You know what I mean?
Let's do
like,
it.
Women got like this select amount of eggs. Men are constantly creating sperm. Mm-hmm. Right? We're creators.
True.
Right?
You are. Yeah.
Right?
But you cannot create without that.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we need each other. We definitely do. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other.
No.
I think we need each other, and I think people more so need to realize that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's good to be feminine, and it's good to be masculine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're both good.
I guess it's all about not being in that wounded feminine and not being in that wounded masculine and being in that, though, both empowered.
Right.
That's very important because then we can lift. Once we're empowered and we're not, damned by the past or we're not holding on to it,
right,
we can empower and lift each other up. And it doesn't matter what happened because, yes, it made us, but we are also recreating each day that goes.
Right. I think there, like as you mentioned, like I think men and women both have both masculine and feminine inside of them. Like just because you're a woman doesn't mean you are only feminine energy. Like even if you're the most feminine, like you have masculine in you too.
Of course.
Like however you want to put in there, but like we all have those combinations. Whether like every day is like a puzzle piece. You know what I mean? Like maybe in this moment, which only lasts 3 seconds, maybe it lasts 10 minutes, maybe it lasts the whole day, maybe it lasts a year. You know what I mean? But like it's just like this weave of energy that is always occurring. You know what I mean? Throughout the moments.
Everything is in motion.
Throughout the moments. You know? And I think we need to be okay with that. Like for men, I think they get in their ego like, I ain't no bitch. Just like I was 2 seconds ago. You know? But it's okay to be like, to feel. You know what I mean? It's okay to like, you know what I mean? Personally, I think it's like, it's so confused out here. People think like if you talk about anything, like, nah. But bro, like I think so many people are like, they are really just subjects to their own, they become slaves to ideas. They become slaves to tendencies and slaves to all this other good stuff. You know what I mean? I feel like when you have a certain, I don't know, it's hard to put into words.
It's a program. Because think about it. If you do something enough times, you're then programmed. If you have a personality, you have programmed it to be you.
That's right.
And it's not always the best personality.
People think that things are a certain way without even testing the waters to see if it could be anything else. You know what I mean? Like,
because that's
test
all
the
they
waters,
know.
and that takes strength. You know what I mean? Like
it does.
Like
because it's uncomfortable to test the waters. It's uncomfortable to go out of your comfort zone, and the subconscious mind is always going to want to limit you and tell you, no, you can't do that. No, who do you think you are? No.
Right.
And it's always going to try to bring you back, but you have to like break that ceiling and kind of go above it. And that's where the shadow work comes in. And that's where really, the journaling, the affirmations, because you have to reprogram your mind. Because maybe growing up, you didn't grow up in a, multi-million-dollar home or, whatever that is. Maybe it wasn't so pretty growing up, but you can always recreate and tell yourself and create that vision of what you want. Right. And that's really what I've been learning and teaching people. Yeah. How do we manifest? We manifest with our 5 senses, with what we can touch, with what we can smell, with what we can hear, with what we can see. And so what are the things that you want to be touching? What do you want to be seeing? What do you want to be hearing, right? That's very important.
Yeah. I want to touch people's hearts.
Yes.
Yes.
You are.
That's so funny.
With your work.
Yeah, I know. I'm just affirming it, I suppose.
Yes.
Just letting it be known. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because words are powerful.
They are. They're spells.
They create.
Yes.
They create. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to touch people's hearts.
Yes.
Give them some direction or understanding. Allow them to take some direction in themselves, but believe in themselves. Mm-hmm. Know that they can. Learn to explore, not to be so afraid of people. Just judging. You know what I mean? Or, I don't know. I want to touch on this just a real hot second. So when I'm referring to right. So with men, we think it's so weak to share, right? So weak to talk about what you're feeling or what you have gone through or all this other good shit. And I think that's a common misconception, right? I think a lot of the times people are going at it in an inappropriate way. I feel like people are sharing for the point, and I know this is kind of sad and shit or whatever it is, but like people are sharing for the point of like getting validation. You know what I mean? They're sharing to be like, will you accept me? Or this is what I gone through. Look how, like, it doesn't make me more worthy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're looking for something. You know what I mean? And that's when you share like that, that's when you get a negative response. And that's when people are just like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I got my own life. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, what do you want me to give you? What do you want me to give you? I can't. I already have like all this other good shit. Like, you know what I mean? But like when you're talking on a sense of like, you accept it and you're not looking for any type of validation from anybody, but you're using it as a way to grow and understand and help others. You know what I mean? Just to navigate thought as it is to thus maybe help somebody else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on how you're sharing and why you're sharing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if you're
And that's
just,
really big. Have you accepted it? Acceptance is the biggest pivot.
it's not talking about it that's the weakness.
Yeah.
It's what are you looking for? You know what I mean? That's what it is. So that's why people are like, it's so weak. Fuck sharing. It's because you yourself haven't even accepted it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even, you know what I mean? You're looking for somebody else to do something for you.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, are you now lovable?
Right.
You always were. You gotta decide. You gotta focus in on that.
Right.
You gotta give that to yourself.
So, what message do you have for the men that might feel that way and that have not accepted it yet? What would you say to them? I do have a lot of male viewers, so I would love for them to hear that.
Say the question one more time.
What message do you have for men that they hold in, they do not express or share their feelings, and maybe they're not at the point of accepting maybe all the lows in their life?
What would I give to them? I would say don't give up speaking out, right? Because it does take time, and we are worthy of love as men. We are worthy of love. And it's okay to so when we speak out, sometimes you are looking for that bit of confirmation and validation that you matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
And for me, what's helped me is that I actually have found people who they didn't judge me, they didn't belittle me from having certain thoughts and ideas. I would speak up to my family, I would speak up to my close ones, like the people who were around me growing up, and no one wanted to hear it. So I felt so weak, but I didn't stop trying to share my truth, because I feel if you're going to love me for me, this is me. This is what I've gone through. This is me.
Yes.
I'm not going to hide it. I can't hide it. It's too painful. I would rather live alone, because I know what I'm capable of when I'm optimized, when I'm living fully. And to live fully, I need to be free of this. You know what I mean? So if I need to leave people behind in order to optimize fully, that's going to be a much better life, because I'm going to accomplish what I need to.
Yes.
I'm going to sit right with me.
Yes.
And that's what I need. I don't need fake shit. I need love. Real love. So if that means I'm alone, fine. But then that's how I felt. So I was never scared to share, because I was looking for my people. You know what I mean? And I'm like, when is this when is this going to be all right for people to just hear? I fucking went through this shit. You can't even hear it. You know, just accept it. So I just want to, that's what I would say. I would say, don't give up speaking out to find your community. And if you never find it, so be it. You know what I mean? You need to be right with yourself. You know what I mean? That's what it takes. If you need to cut off everybody, then that's what you need to do. You need to optimize you.
Right.
So that, you can sit right with yourself. Nothing gives you better satisfaction. Because even when you find your people, how often are you really around them? I'm not really around my people. It's good to know that I have them.
Yeah.
But, I'm with me pretty much the whole time.
Yes.
So that's the focus. But I would say, don't worry about cutting people off and keep on speaking. And don't worry about if you're alone or not. And the thing that's really helped me is that I do believe in Christ. So I feel like I am never truly ever alone.
Never, yes.
I have something much greater waiting for me.
Yes.
And that gives me the power to power through anything, because the whole point of Christ is that there's heaven. There's something after life. And I'm not afraid to die. So people are just worried about this, what they get in this life.
Yeah.
But for me, I understand that this life is fleeting, and it doesn't matter about any of the things that I acquire in this life. Nothing is important. It's about after. That's where the focus is. Everything will be fleeting. I could be the most successful, most accomplished, most renowned person in the world. I will be forgotten. And why does that even matter? Once I'm dead, that's the majority of my time. Oh no, it's crazy out here.
It gets deep.
You may not agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I want you to find your own answer.
Of course.
Whoever you are, whatever you're listening to, that's, you don't have to agree with me. Find your own answer. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
I love that.
I guess.
No, and I truly stand on and believe that you should speak up and share who you are and what is important in your values, because in that process you find and you attract your tribe and your people in that way.
Right.
And you kind of literally reject the people that are not meant for you.
Right.
And that don't serve your highest good.
Right. I think when you're speaking up, sometimes all you need to do is just have somebody give you the response that they just give you the response that it doesn't matter. They hear you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I know as men, sometimes people think that we're looking for something, but we just really just want to have someone just not think we're garbage or trash.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Who just listen to us just for a
Right.
second. Like, all I need is an ear for a hot second. And then you're like,
Right.
that's not even that bad. You're fine. I'm like, oh, okay. Good. Whew. And that's sometimes all it takes. You know what I mean? It's not like you necessarily need to be like, oh, like, or just like fucking like, now we need to like hang out every day for every hour.
No.
You know, like,
we're adults.
it's just sometimes you just need that ear. Maybe that like that little moment for like 30 seconds. Someone who finally makes you feel like your voice actually is heard, because like a lot of times people will just suppress it and not even allow you to explore in conversation.
Right.
So when you find people who allow you to explore, because sometimes like what we want to do, and when we realize we're mad suppressed, we realize that it's a conversation that's needed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I need to explore, and to explore,
Express.
to have some real true exploration, we need some back and forth. You know what I mean? So to find that person who can give, that's why people like to go to therapy. I don't really necessarily care for it, but if it works for you, you know?
Yeah.
But like, just having someone like when you explore and then they ask a question which is like, oh shit, and then you get to like dive more so into like the intricacies of like your mannerisms and your behaviors, and like that back and forth is really cool. You know what I mean? But when like you get into a room where people are like, no, you can't, like that's and then it's like, all right, well, now it's just like more like more of this shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes that conversation. Like, you just want that conversation, someone who's willing to explore it with you, and who doesn't doesn't judge you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just explore it and have fun, and that's all the healing. You know what I mean? And that's why we do this podcast, baby. You know, like, we just kind of just explore.
And non-judgment is so important, because like, who am I to judge another person? Like, we just are. We're just here. And I think that's really important when you start getting into living a soulful life, living from the soul and not from the ego, like you said. I think more people should try it because when you really take yourself out and look at yourself from third person, it's like, are all my decisions driven by my ego and like who I picture myself? You know what I mean? But is this really feeding and fulfilling and enriching to my soul? While I'm here for this time, how is my soul going to, how are we going to live our life? Through our soul or through the matrix, the 3D, the egoic form of everything? So I think there's really a balance, because the ego is important, because you have to have that rootedness and that knowing that you are the shit. You are.
Yeah.
Like, you did that. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
That was great.
And having that
There we go. We got
affirmation.
a little bit of her a bit. That was great.
Getting the affirmation. So really having a balance and not being so in the ego and the 3D and what we can't see, because there's so much going on that we can't see.
Yeah.
But our soul sees it, and our soul knows, and our soul understands. And that's really important. When you come back to yourself, you can really get the messages, what your soul is trying to guide you towards.
Yeah, definitely. Just listening. That's everything.
Yeah.
Listen. But it's complex, and it's not an easy journey. Everyone has their own journey,
It's
and it
not.
takes years and years to heal.
And it's not linear either.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Definitely.
It's never like, oh, it gets like,
No.
It does get easier, but it's always like, you will be brought down to be tested.
But who's to say, like, the concept of getting easier, like, it could be like just like, but another thing it could be
Is that you just get better. It does never gets easier. You just
can
get
handle
better.
pressure better.
Right.
You become like, it doesn't affect you as much.
Yeah.
So it's the same shit, but like, all right, I'm used to this.
Yeah. I think this is a good thing to bring up. In my journey, in this past week, I've had so many breakdowns, so much acceptance of mistakes in my own. I've actually journaled about this, of my mistakes in the past and what I wasn't so proud of. I talked about within myself of not, maybe like losing opportunities just by not being, not responding right away, or not confirming, not having that communication. Another mistake, where for me, I would put myself on the death sentence, and I'd be like, I'm the worst. I can't believe I fumbled. I can't believe I did this. But it's a constant learning of the lesson. Like, what did this teach me? Like, breaking down, crying, and realizing, like, what am I getting from this so this doesn't happen again? I've had a lot of those moments where I'm really just like, okay, I want to hold myself, and I'm going to hold myself to a higher standard, because that's what I expect, and that's what the time is for me right now, to hold myself and to operate at a certain type of way. And the things that served me in the past or that I was comfortable in is not what's going to help me get to my next journey. It's not going to help me impact and help more people. It's not going to help me really get to the next goals I have, if that makes sense. So really accepting, all right, I'm messing up. I'm not as effective as I need to be. I need to be more organized. I need to get rid of any disorganization in my life. And I really need to just focus and look at myself and accept that, okay, maybe I didn't do so good in that, or maybe I messed up, maybe I forgot about this, but I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen again because I'm focused and really wanting to be better and grow in that aspect.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Such a mature mindset at 23 years old.
Yeah.
Honed. You got some great perspective.
Thank you.
I'm not going to front. You're like mature for your age too.
Thank you.
Pretty insightful. I'm not going to lie. So I don't know if I have any more questions at the moment, to be real.
Yeah.
You know, unless there's anything else that you like feel like we haven't touched on or like you want to talk about just to like tell to your viewers or anything.
Yeah, no, I think this is such a powerful, impactful conversation. Wow. Where am I going and where am I headed? I'm really working on and focusing on building something beautiful, something that will be everlasting, something that I can pass on, and really just focusing on my craft, man, and really just getting better. The everyday, the compacting of the work, seeing it, and yeah, I just want to travel the world and I want to help people all over the world. I want to make it a better place. I love working with animals. I don't talk about it too much, but I do animal Reiki. So I'm really looking forward to impacting all the species and helping in any way. What I do Reiki, I use my hands, little to no touch. It actually works and is received by any living thing. So plants, animals, the birds, the sound. Sound is very cleansing. So the crystal bowls that I play, it's very, very cleansing. It cleanses objects, spaces, corners. So I think something I would say to my viewers, anytime you are feeling overwhelmed, maybe you just need a cleanse, maybe you just need a breath, and you need to reset and refocus. Every single day is a new day to reset. As long as you have your breath, you have the life. And that's so important to know and to be aware of.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I'm going to sign up for my own little Reiki session.
Let's do it. I'm so excited.
Let's do it. So I think that concludes today's episode of the Perspective Podcast. Giovanna, thank you so much again for coming on the show. It was an honor. I loved it. I really, really did. Very insightful. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Tyler. Thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, guys. Until next time.